we take you to Dee and Mark on the road all week for Live Tour.
In 5 days, we're taking our live news on the road for Live Tour 2013. Day 3, we're on to the Boise National Forest and the old mining towns of Pine and Featherville.
You guys will get a license.
This was the scene last August here in Featherville as thick smoke from the Trinity Ridge fire descended on this small town. Flames came within striking distance of homes and businesses.
We were here for nearly 2 weeks as the fire became the nation's highest priority fire. Now, flash forward some 8 months and the smoke, as you can see, is clear and this community is bouncing back. That fire is gone, but it certainly left behind its mark. Trees just beyond Cindy's Featherville Cafe are charred, showing just how close flames came.
Welcome to day 3 of Live Tour 2013. You know, it really has been a trying time for the folks of Pine and Featherville, not just the summer last year and the fire that so devastated this area and brought in that thick smoke. But this winter, drought conditions, no snow. I mean, very little snow for snowmobilers, so they lost tourism dollars this winter as well. So that all sounds pretty bleak, but it's not all bad. And you're going to see both sides of the story here today live.
But that snowpack is an issue, as we saw coming in here around Anderson Ranch Reservoir, which is low. For more on that, let's send it over to Idaho's Chief Meteorologist, Rick Lance. Rick, this is a big deal right now here.
Yes, it is, Mark and Dee. And I noticed that, too, as I came in today, kind of a sad state of affairs. Of course, they use this for summer boating and the recreation. They'd like to be able to use it the entire summer. All of the middle to low level snow has been melted off. You can see it's gone here at Featherville. It's just on top of the mountains that they're still kind of hoping for some of that snow melt there. So there's still more snow in some of those mountains. And of course, we've got the heat of summer to come. We wish them the best on that. Hey, right now you're looking at downtown Featherville. I just wanted to show you here in the background that this is the taxi. That's a 1930 Model A, okay? And I don't know what it costs to take a ride, but it's air conditioned because you see the windows, they're all out. Now there's the Pine Charter, which means that you can go out on the lake for $7.50 for a half a day, but you bring your own lunch. Is that a deal? It's 78 degrees for the current temperature in Boise. Not bad today. It was much like yesterday, as expected. As we look at the northwest satellite pictures, some showers and thunderstorms down along the Nevada border, just like yesterday. We've got some clouds around. And this is an indication of some clouds of change that's going to be coming in. In fact, expect a 10-degree drop in temperature and also the possibility of some showers coming up, which I will detail a little bit more in our forecast, Mark and Dee.
All right, Rick, thank you very much. Well, you could see from Rick's mention of what's behind him to the stories that we've done here that this really is a tourist area. They depend on tourism, and they would probably love for me to tell you what I saw today. Rick and Mark, I was up in those hills today. It does not look as bad as you might think in many of the areas that I know many of you like to visit. I mean, yeah, you can tell there was a big fire that moved through here, but it was a mosaic fire, and so there's still real green areas too.
Yeah, and we saw that firsthand. But if you go back to a year ago and you think about the stories we did, and Pat and Cindy Christensen behind us at Cindy's Featherville Cafe made national news with their determination to stay put. They drew a line in that fire line and they said they were going to stay here. And now, nearly 1 year later, they told me a life-changing and horrible event has brought something very positive back to their community. Do you remember the day when you guys were sitting here and the sheriff was going, deputy was going from door to door evacuating?
Yeah.
And Pat, do you remember what you told Chad?
Of course I do. If the fire doesn't come over the hill, I'll stay. If the fire comes over the hill, I ain't stupid. It ain't worth my life.
I didn't leave, guys. I didn't leave.
We got calls from people from Florida, Germany, people concerned about us and what was happening, and they saw us on TV and said we needed to change my name to world famous Cindy's Featherville Cafe.
The reason we're still here is the firefighters, and I don't think they were recognized heavily enough. I really don't. When they backlit this hill, there were 150 firefighters out here. That's just, you know, the NIFC side.
Yeah.
And then there were structure protection guys and everything else, and we were in the safest place we could have been when they backlit that hill.
And now spring has brought new signs of life to the mountains and new life as well to Cindy's Featherville Cafe.
So we're getting people from that would not normally come up, you know, from miles away. I mean, one couple came up and traveled 4 hours just to have lunch.
It just lent faith to me in humanity. It really did.
For now, I guess we can say World famous Cindy's Cafe is open for business.
We are. That we are. And we
got to enjoy the KTVB news crew, too.
Yep, we'll welcome anybody that wants to come see Featherville.
And Kelly's Trading Post, and of course the saloon, and all of the beautiful, well, treasures that Idaho has to offer here in this wonderful part of our state, with the rivers and the hiking trails and the biking trails and all the RVing. I can say they're making their best foot step forward right now.
That is so true. Well, coming up, yesterday we met an artist. He uses recycled materials to create furniture. Today, another artist. This one uses tree stumps for his canvas and a chainsaw for his paintbrush. Chuck Smart's been working all day. We're going to show you how he does it coming up.
And just down the road in Pine, our Brian Holmes shows us a school unlike many others we've come across. One teacher, one room, many lessons. Live tour 2013 in Pine and Featherville continues after this.
Idaho certainly has its share of small towns, and we're enjoying two of them on this edition of Live Tour, Pine and Featherville. And raising a family in an area like this really has its challenges, whether it's shopping or maybe trying to go to a doctor appointment, or how about schools?
Not many families here, 16, and that means not many kids. Luckily for the folks that do have kids in Pine and Featherville, there is a school, a small one, very close by, and Brian Holmes visited that today. Brian?
Well, Mark, for generations, families of this mountain community have been afforded that educational opportunity, and that for generations, the lessons of reading, writing, and arithmetic have been taught in the very same building that is just down this road. Tucked away among the pines, just outside of Pine, sits the smallest outpost of the Mountain Home School District.
Pretty small.
Inside the 125-year-old building,
That is correct.
Miss Jane Burke presides over the future of Pine and Featherville, all 6 of them.
What is it? I'm an older version of Laura Ingalls.
Miss Burke has been a teacher for nearly 25 years, mostly in much larger institutions. For years, though, she's had an eye on this one-room schoolhouse.
What do I like about it?
Yeah.
What is there not to like?
Pine School is populated with the kids of just 2 families, covering 1st grade to 7th, with Miss Burke trying to cover all subjects.
Like I'll be in the middle of doing, ABC, green, red, blue, and then here comes somebody, Ms. Burke, what is X, Y times the property of, and you have to change your head so fast.
Some might consider it a solitary life, but Miss Burke likens it to family life.
Basically the principal, you're the teacher, the lunch lady,
The nurse, the janitor, not the bus driver. Well, on Tuesdays, I do drive kids to lunch. It's just kind of like running a household almost.
Well, she does have some help in running this house.
Yeah.
The children have chores.
I pick up the playground and I do the mail. I'm hall monitor and librarian.
Little Marlia Martins is the school's only 3rd grader, and right now she has no interest in increasing her class size.
No.
But she does have an interest in learning.
My dad told me that math is the most important part of life.
11-year-old Jasmine Ceballos might disagree with that part. She's been in a big school before, but likes the recess here better.
They can't sled up in the big schools, and we can.
And while there are benefits to being isolated, Miss Burke says they aren't completely cut off.
Right now I got the girls going through that One Direction phase. I know all about One Direction. Come on, my little pine nuts.
She sees the same kids every year, so Miss Burke considers herself lucky to watch them grow, in more ways than one.
There's things we don't have here, but for me, I'm happy to see that these kids are healthy, emotionally, physically. They're becoming good citizens. Allie, that's the best riding you've had. For me, at the end of my career, this is perfect. This is a perfect place.
Ms. Burke says she couldn't do what she does for her little pine nuts without the superb help from her supervisor down in Mountain Home. And she says the school's always looking to expand. In fact, they're in the middle of a fundraiser to try to put a slide in the playground. We'll be back with more from live from Featherville on Live Tour when the News at 5 continues right after this.
And welcome back to Featherville Live Tour. We promised you chainsaw art coming up right here in the Featherville area. With me is Chuck Smart. And Chuck, I just love this story. First of all, you can see the bear that he's working on today. We're going to get on that just a moment. But first of all, how did you get into this line of business?
Well, my family was a logging family, and we all had chainsaws, but then the logging kind of went away, so we had to use our chainsaws for something, so we started doing this.
Went ahead doing chainsaw art. Did it take a while to get this thing going and to kind of put this together?
Oh, it took me most all day.
Yeah. So normally what does it take? I know you worked harder on this today, but normally what would it take to do this?
It'd be a two and a half day job usually.
Okay. And then after that, if we could just take a look over here, tell us what you have. In fact, you've got a couple of statues right along through here that you've already worked on. And this is a little bit, you take the saw, you make your sculpture, and then what are we doing here for a finished product?
Well, the darker colors is we use a torch and we burn them. And then we do use a sander and such after that to get back down to the wood grain. And then we use a marine polyurethane so that they're weatherproof.
Okay. And do you stay pretty busy with this during the summer months? A lot of people come up here, they love to see this?
I do. I sell quite a few from right here.
Okay. Now you said some of these are burned. So that's what we're going to do with this right now, right? Why don't you step over there and tell me what I need to do to be safe here when you do this?
Stand back.
That I can do. Okay, he says to stand back, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk out here about 30 feet or so. Whoa! He starts that up. You can hear it from a distance. And there he is going to burn it, and you can see the fire that is coming out. Woo! You know, Brian's running the camera here. That looks like it hurts, doesn't it, Brian? Okay, Chuck. I think you made your point. Oh, yeah, that's it. Takes you a while to do that. Chuck, thank you so much, that you had a chance to show this. I've never seen this done before. This is terrific. We're going to come back with more from Live Tour right here from Featherville in just a moment.
You've heard a little bit about the byproducts of the Trinity Ridge fire in terms of people, how it brought people closer together. Well, here's another one, a beautiful wildflower season. I got to see this up in the hills today. Gorgeous wildflowers. I'm told by a forest botanist that you'll hear from at 6 o'clock that more of this is expected this summer. So just one more reason to come up to the Pine-Featherville area.
And the morels as well. There is going to be quite the morel season. We're going to talk about that more at 6 o'clock. But I have in my hand something that Chuck Smart did exclusively for us. This, of course, we are celebrating our diamond anniversary, our 60th birthday at Idaho's News Channel 7, and he has carved us up a wooden diamond unlike any I've ever seen before. This is going to go in our lobby, and the visitors to Channel 7 will enjoy this for years and years to come. All right, also coming up on the news at 6:30, we're going to introduce you to little Lizzie Morris, who celebrated a big milestone of her own today. It's a story you will not want to miss.
And you want to see how they're working hard to help these mountains recover. So we'll show you that as we take you into the mountains today. And that's at 6 o'clock. We'll see you then.
Five towns in 5 days. We're taking our live news on the road for Live Tour 2013. Day 3, we're on to the Boise National Forest and the old mining towns of Pine and Featherville.
Okay.
And welcome to Featherville. This is day 3 of Live Tour 2013.
Let's go.
Whoa, whoa, we've got a show to do. We're so glad you're with us as we bring you more of Live Tour from this area that's hoping you'll come up here and enjoy Gus and Gilly with Rockin' Bee horses, along with all the other great things there are to do here. This place needs a good summer.
That's right. Thanks to Willie Bernier from Rockin' Bee Horses out of Buell. They specialize in tours up and down Main Street here between Featherville and Pine. And as you mentioned, these are two beautiful Belgians. They do a Dutch oven event. And if you want to ride in this beautiful old Amish carriage, just contact Cindy or Pat at Cindy's Featherville Cafe, and you can do this. All right, let's go, you guys.
But before we go too far, we want to get you over to Rick because he's got your latest forecast. Hey, Rick.
They don't know it, but I'm on the backside over here.
Oh.
Always watching their backs. Yeah. Hey, this is the backside of the horse-drawn trailer, and of course, we're starting to cool off just a little bit here in Featherville, but that's not the case in Boise. Of course, we're right here along the side of these great big mountains, so we're starting to get the shade from those for this evening. And because of that, we're cooling down. But you see, Boise has the current temperature of 78 degrees. We had a high temperature this afternoon of 79. Does this sound like something we had yesterday? This is pretty close to yesterday's weather after the 95 that we had at the beginning of the week. So things are beginning to change. As you look at this northwest satellite picture, you're seeing some of the showers that are along the Washington-Oregon coast. The big news on this, it's heading into Idaho. So what's going to take place? Well, you can already see some showers and some thunderstorms that are just right along the southern Idaho border, right around Nevada. They were there yesterday, but they're building just a little bit more. Some of the showers from the west coast is going to continue to help that mass build. And eventually, that's going to bring a shower into Boise. And this was a good day to come up to Featherville, because I think we're going to be seeing a rain shower here likely by tomorrow. It's going to be more enhanced in the mountains than it is in the valley. But we're going to talk about our forecast coming up real soon. Mark, D?
All right, thanks a lot, Rick. We've got a lot to get to here in the next 20 minutes. Among the stories we are covering, Lizzie Morris, a little 5-year-old girl, got a 5-year-old birthday celebration party, the likes of which not many 5-year-olds get a chance to experience. We'll take you to that story, and we're also going to take you up into the mountains and show you what it is like since that Trinity Ridge fire.
Well, I'd like to do that right now because that's when you saw us here last, and it was a pretty smoky ordeal. As you will remember very well, summer of 2012, the Trinity Ridge fire started on August 3rd. By the time it was officially contained, it had burned 229 square miles of the Boise National Forest. The impact on the people of Pine and Featherville was enormous, and the memories of that summer will be passed on to future generations, I'm sure. But what about the forest? What are the lasting effects, and how are your tax dollars being spent to help the forest recover? I spent some time with a soil scientist with the Boise National Forest today to learn all I could about that.
The fire burned pretty good through this little area here.
Terry Hardy took us up to see for ourselves how the forest is recovering from the Trinity Ridge fire. He says right now vegetation recovery is looking pretty grim.
This is really the ash layer, the lighter gray material you see is the ash, and it has the nutrients and contains leftover seed that might not, this is not totally consumed by the fire. So one of the treatments that we like to do is keep this ash on site. It'll hold and absorb the moisture.
And that will help vegetation get growing, but for that to happen, this area needs rain. The danger of it all running off, though, is why so much effort will be spent to prevent erosion.
Our main goal right now is to continue what we were doing last fall. We were trying to address those threats to those values, which are human life and safety, our property, our roads, infrastructure, and then the important resources. And we do what we can to try to keep the soil on the hill.
That's why the Forest Service will spend about half of its $4.5 million in restoration money on straw.
We're going to be looking at treating, I don't know, 1,000 to 1,500 acres with some aerial straw mulch here in a week or so. We can't treat everything everywhere, but we'll focus and prioritize where we have those values.
Values like roads and trails for recreationists. $2 million will be spent on road improvements and stream crossings.
So this is the North Fork Trinity drainage.
And always consideration in those recovery plans, the federally protected bull trout, which needs cold, clean streams for spawning. This culvert has been tagged as a priority to protect bull trout habitat. It will be replaced in July.
If this pipe were to fail, the material that you see above this pipe would be delivered to the stream, and there's bull trout habitat downstream spawning, rearing bull trout habitat.
But some things will have to survive and come back on their own. There will be no reseeding in the recovery effort this summer. Good thing our state tree, the ponderosa pine, has adapted to fire. One of the things I noticed when we were driving up here are trees like this where it's burned partway up. Will a tree like that live?
This ponderosa pine should live. I mean, it's got less than half of the canopy scorched. The base could be intact. The concern we would have with this one would be secondary mortality from root kill. If the ground fire was so hot that it burned in, heated into the ground and killed the roots, then you'd see secondary mortality from root kill.
Hardy says we probably won't know this tree's future for another 4 or 5 years. And the forest as a whole?
Long term, I mean, we're going to see, you know, some of these effects last into the long term, 20, 50 or more years.
Now, I know a lot of you are wondering about the wildlife, the deer and the elk. We certainly saw quite a few when we were driving up here. Hardy says they've done pretty well, and they've really adapted. This was a mosaic fire again, so they do have habitat. And, of course, right now the spring bear hunt is going on, so we'll probably hear about the bear population here in the next few weeks.
And driving up here from Sun Valley, we saw deer and elk, and you're right, there is wildlife everywhere here.
Yeah, it's encouraging.
Well, our trip was timed out pretty well. Coming up next, the only child that lives in Featherville year-round. That's little Lizzie, and today her birthday dreams came true. It is a remarkable story, and we'll tell it to you when Live Tour continues from Featherville and Pine next. Back live in Featherville, and we've talked so much about the impact that the Trinity Ridge fire had on this community, and of course, national media from around the country covered it. And when they did, the Associated Press showed this picture around the country that made the rounds, and it shows Featherville's only child at the time, 4-year-old Lizzie Morris, waiting to evacuate in the back of Nana's SUV with the family belongings, her bike, the last precious belonging left to be loaded. All right, now take a look at this today. We were lucky enough to be there when Lizzie, back safe at home, celebrated her 5th birthday with a surprise carriage ride to the Elk Valley Golf Course, where her surprise tea party awaited. The girls with her just happened to be visiting here in this area. Molly and Veronica alongside, and back here live. This is now 5-year-old Lizzie Morris. Lizzie, tell us about your birthday and a dream come true. You told me you wanted a surprise birthday, and what did you want your surprise birthday to be?
I wanted it to be a surprise birthday party.
And what did you want at that party? You wanted those 2 big animals behind us. You wanted them to be part of your party because they're your friends, aren't they?
Yes, they're my new 2 friends.
Yeah, your new 2 friends. I'm not talking about the girls, but I'm talking about the 4-legged friends behind us. You know those horsies?
Yes.
What's their names?
Doc and Gilly.
That's right. And where did Doc and Gilly take you?
They took me to the golf course.
And what happened there? Did you have a tea party?
No, because I didn't bring my tea party stuff.
Oh, you didn't. Well, you're going to have a tea party at home, I heard your mommy say. And how does it feel to be 5?
Great.
Why? What's so great about being 5 and the only kid in Featherville, Idaho?
It's because 5-year-olds are big girls.
That's right. You are a very big girl. And your entire family, everybody in Featherville knows Lizzie, and Lizzie knows everybody in Featherville, don't you?
Yes.
You're like the princess of Featherville, aren't you?
No, like the cowgirl of Featherville.
You are the cowgirl of Featherville. That's right. That's right. Now, one of the things that Lizzie does is entertains. Every single person is her best friend in this town, and she's a singer. I don't know if you know this. And her favorite song is Little Red Riding Hood. Not the Little Red Riding Hood you would think that a 5-year-old Lizzie would sing, but this Little Red Riding Hood. And I'll sing it with you. You ready?
No, I don't want to.
You don't want to do it? I just like the howl. Will you do the howl? It's the 1960s version. Little Red Riding Hood.
No.
What are you doing with a big bad wolf like me? Are we going to howl? Howl? Just a little howl? All right, these girls will howl. Howl. Lizzie taught them how to sing Little Red Riding Hood, and you guys pulled it off great. Thank you for being here. Lizzie, you make friends no matter where you go, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, look into the camera and say hi to everybody in Featherville and Pine looking. And anything you want to say to them? Well, we want to say something to you. We're going to say happy birthday. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday!
Yeah! Lizzie,
Thank you, everyone.
You were awesome. Live tour continues after this. Look at and wave, Lizzie. Wave to the camera. Keep waving. Wave, girls. Keep waving.
We're continuing a live tour from Featherville. We'll be here until 7 o'clock. We hope you're going to be along. You're going to get to meet Chuck Smart. He's a local wood carver. And let me tell you, he knows how to wield and make some amazing things with his
his chainsaw.
Chainsaw, that's right. That's right.
All right, we're back after this. And at 6:30 on Idaho's very own 24/7, we're going to take you to the Elk Valley Golf Club that survived the fire.
I also found out about the morel mushroom season. Get the latest on that and more from Featherville on Idaho's very own 24/7.
On 24/7.
Kirstie Alley's new.
The news at 6:30 starts now. 5 towns in 5 days. We're taking our live news on the road for Live Tour 2013. Day 3, we're on to the Boise National Forest and the old mining towns of Pine and Featherville. This special live tour edition of the news at 6:30 starts now.
How could you forget this scene? This was last August in Featherville as thick smoke from the Trinity Ridge fire descended on this small town. Flames came within striking distance of homes and businesses.
We were here for nearly 2 weeks as this fire became the nation's highest priority fire. Did not get completely put out until the fall. Flash forward some 8 months and the smoke is now clear and this community is bouncing back. Now the fire is gone, but it has left its mark, as you will see in the next 30 minutes. Trees just above Cindy's Featherville Cafe are charred, showing just how close the flames came.
And if that wasn't bad enough, that fire was followed by a winter of very little snow. And you see, this is a snowmobiling mecca here. Snowmobilers really keep the economy going through the wintertime, but not this year. There just wasn't enough snow. It was a 1-2 blow.
And because of that, Anderson Ranch Reservoir is extremely low, as you're about to see. The impact of that can be felt as well this year during the boating season. Here's Rick Lance with more on that.
Yeah, it could be. In fact, very low. And of course, that's the situation with many different reservoirs. Of course, we've lost our mid and low level snowpack now. We'd like to see it a lot higher than what it is now. Many are below average. But of course, we still have our mountain snowpack from the very tip top of some of the higher elevations. So hoping to be able to cash in on a little bit of that as the summer continues. And that's what we really need as we recognize in traveling around to some of these towns, kind of the lack of waters. We started talking about drought here a couple of months ago. Well, we are in downtown Featherville. We are looking at rush hour right now. And you can see the city right here looking beautiful for this time of night. They're right on the edge of these beautiful mountains. And as the sun goes down, you know, they get shaded and we're cooling off here. In Boise, we've got 78 degrees. That's not the case in Boise, of course. We're going to show you the high temperature coming up. And as you look at the northwest satellite picture, you'll see that we do have clouds that are coming in from the west. That's Washington as well as Oregon. And that's going to eventually develop some showers into our area. We also have a few showers and thunderstorms that are right down along the Nevada-Idaho border that's going to be dealt with. Not so much for tonight, but it just shows how it's all coming together and changing our weather. So expect this, a temperature drop, a pretty good one. That's by tomorrow. And we'll also talk about a chance of some showers coming up in the weather. Mark, Dee?
All right, thank you so much. We just talked about that 1-2 punch, but one thing you have to say about folks who live and make a living in towns like Pine and Featherville, they are resilient.
That's right, and no one more resilient than Pat and Cindy Christensen from Cindy's Featherville Cafe. You'll recall a year ago they made national news with their determination to ride out the fire, even during an evacuation order. And now, nearly a year later, they told me a life-changing and horrible event has brought something very positive to their community. Do you remember the day when you guys were sitting here and the sheriff was going, the deputy was going from door to door evacuating?
Yep.
And Pat, do you remember what you told me?
Of course I do. If the fire doesn't come over the hill, I'll stay. If the fire comes over the hill, I ain't stupid, it ain't worth my life.
I didn't leave, guys. I didn't leave.
We got calls from people from Florida, Germany, people concerned about us and what was happening, and they saw us on TV and said we needed to change my name to world famous Cindy's Featherville Cafe.
The reason we're still here is the firefighters, and I don't think they were recognized heavily enough. I really don't. When they backlit this hill, There were 150 firefighters out here. That's just, you know, the NIFC side.
Yeah.
And then there were structure protection guys and everything else. And we were in the safest place we could have been when they backlit that hill.
And now spring has brought new signs of life to the mountains and new life as well to Cindy's Featherville Cafe.
So we're getting people from that would not normally come up, you know, from miles away. I mean, one couple came up and traveled 4 hours just to have lunch.
It just lent faith to me in humanity. It really did.
For now, I guess we can say world famous Cindy's Cafe is open for business.
We are. That we are. And we
got to enjoy the KTVB news crew too.
Yep, we'll welcome anybody that wants to come see Featherville.
Boy, and that is the case. We saw a steady stream coming in and out of Cindy's world famous Featherville Cafe, and all smiles. A year ago, not so many, but now they are excited about this new beginning.
And they're not alone. There are a lot of businesses here hoping that you'll come and hang out, visit, maybe spend a little money, maybe play a little golf. Ryan LaRondo has more on that.
2 miles south towards the town of Pine, you'll find the Elk Valley Golf Course and Resort. It's the only golf course in the area, but when the flames started, the business stopped. Now owners are hoping that after last year's shot in the bunker, this year they'll be able to save par, that is.
Okay, sorry about that.
Back over to you, Mark.
Sorry about that, Ryan. I guess that's not queued up, not ready to go, but as soon as it is, we'll let you stay in that golf cart for right now, and then we'll come back to you.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Hey, you know, one thing I got to find out about today is a lot of talk after a fire about morel mushrooms. That's huge. If you've ever had a morel mushroom, you know it's a delicacy. People love them. So I went out on the hunt today. A lot of people have been anticipating a bumper crop of morels following the Trinity Ridge fire, but 5 of us, including, get this, Mark, a forest botanist, we kept our eyes out all morning to find one, and that's exactly what we found. One morel mushroom. Conditions just aren't quite right yet.
So far, it really doesn't look that great for morels or other mushrooms. We would expect to see them when we have adequate precipitation. We also need warm soil temperatures. So it's only been within the last week or 2 that we've had the warmth, but I think it's still freezing at night at the higher elevations. So it just doesn't look like we've had the right combination of precip and warmth for the morels to come out.
So stay tuned, maybe mid-June, and Edna says that when the time comes, if you do find some, please leave a third so that they will continue to propagate. And here's something really important. If you're planning to go and pick morel mushrooms...
You can't just run up there and grab some.
No, they are precious and valuable treasures. So here's the deal. You have to have a permit. You also can pick only in designated areas on the Boise National Forest in the Trinity Ridge fire area. And that permit for commercial use is $300. It's free for people who just want to pick them for their family, but there are limits on what you can take out. So we've got a hot link to get you to the information so that you can come up here and enjoy it when those morels finally do pop.
But for free, you can get a 5-gallon bucket's worth if you're lucky enough to find them around here right now. They are gold, and people who know where they pop up covet those areas like it is a pile of gold.
Yeah, it really is a special thing, and if you have never had a morel mushroom, I can tell you it is a treat. So we'll try to keep an eye on that. We'll get the folks to let us know when they're starting to come on, and maybe you can come up and enjoy the area and pick a few morel mushrooms.
Now, there are a lot of things to do here in the Pine Featherville area. One of them is, of course, enjoying the rustic adventures that is Idaho. We're talking about the trails and the boating and the hiking. And you can also find a pretty decent place to stay as well.
Oh, that's right. You know, there are fun places, including a bed and breakfast that's kind of rustic. It's about 10 miles south of here in Pine along the Anderson Ranch Reservoir. And it's open year-round, by the way. Gary and Denise Freeman took over the Hayhurst Bed and Breakfast earlier this year from the Hayhurst family. The lodge opened in 2005 for only a few winters, and then it closed up. Never been opened until this summer. This unique B&B has 7 rooms and a separate cottage.
It looks like a Sun Valley style lodge, and it's just absolutely beautiful. The workmanship is amazing. They worked on it for 5.5 years, and it's really, really a wonderful place.
It truly is beautiful, and right now on KTVB live tour webpage, we have a link to their website to make a reservation and a slideshow of the bed and breakfast. All you have to do is head over there, so look for the live tour page at ktvb.com.
And everything's pretty close. As we mentioned, Pine and Featherville are separated by a little over 10 miles, so you can commute between the two areas and find something that'll last you a good week or longer if you're looking for an adventure. All right, coming up next, yesterday, Brian Holmes introduced us to someone who likes to recycle. Same can be said from today's guest.
Chuck Smart has been working all day for us on some of his creations using the tree stump as his canvas and a chainsaw for his brush. We'll see how he does it coming up.
And just down the road, Brian Holmes shows us a school unlike any other that we've come across. There's one teacher, one room, and many lessons. When Live Tour 2013 from Pine and Featherville continues after this.
Welcome back to Live Tour in Featherville. You know, trying to raise a family in such a remote location can have its challenges, whether it is taking a child to a doctor's appointment or even going shopping. But school has one thing that this place pretty much has well taken care of. For generations, this community has been afforded an education, and all the reading, writing, and arithmetic has been done in one building just down the road. Tucked away among the pines, just outside of Pine, sits the smallest outpost of the Mountain Home School District.
Pretty small.
Inside the 125-year-old building,
that is correct,
Miss Jane Burke presides over the future of Pine and Featherville, all 6 of them.
What is it? I'm an older version of Laura Ingalls.
Miss Burke has been a teacher for nearly 25 years, mostly in much larger institutions. For years, though, she's had an eye on this one-room schoolhouse.
What do I like about it?
Yeah.
What is there not to like?
Pine School is populated with the kids of just 2 families, covering 1st grade to 7th, with Miss Burke trying to cover all subjects.
Like I'll be in the middle of doing, you know, ABC, green, red, blue, and then here comes somebody, Ms. Burke, what is X, Y times the property of, you know, and you have to change your head so fast.
Some might consider it a solitary life, but Miss Burke likens it to family life.
Basically the principal, you're the teacher, the lunch lady,
the nurse,
the
janitor, not the bus driver. Well, on Tuesdays, I do drive kids to lunch. It's just kind of like running a household almost.
Well, she does have some help in running this house.
Yeah.
The children have chores.
I pick up the playground and I do the mail. I'm hall monitor and librarian.
Little Marlia Martins is the school's only 3rd grader, and right now she has no interest in increasing her class size.
No.
But she does have an interest in learning.
My dad told me that math is the most important part of life.
11-year-old Jasmine Ceballos might disagree with that part. She's been in a big school before, but likes the recess here better.
They can't sled up in the big schools, and we can.
And while there are benefits to being isolated, Miss Burke says they aren't completely cut off.
Right now I got the girls going through that One Direction phase. I know all about One Direction. Come on, my little pine nuts.
She sees the same kids every year, so Miss Burke considers herself lucky to watch them grow, in more ways than one.
There's things we don't have here, but for me, I'm happy to see that these kids are healthy, emotionally, physically. They're becoming good citizens. Allie, that's the best riding you've had. For me, at the end of my career, this is perfect. You know, this is a perfect place.
Miss Burke says she couldn't do the things she does for her little pine nuts without her superb support from her supervisor down in Mountain Home. And, of course, she says always looking to expand the school. In fact, they're in the middle of raising money to put a slide in the playground. We'll be right back with more live with your news at 6:30, live from Featherville as Live Tour 2013 continues.
And here we are back live at a major intersection in mountainous Idaho. Go one direction to Rocky Bar, Baumgartner, another direction right here. We're in Featherville Pines, just down the road.
Well, if you were with us earlier in the show, you know that Ryan teed one up and hit it out of bounds, so we're going to give him a mulligan. Send it over to you, Ryan. There's a golf course down the street that we got to show people.
Yeah, Mark, about 2 miles down the road towards the town of Pine, you'll find the Elk Valley Golf Course and Resort. It's the only course in the area. And when the flames started, the business stopped. Well, now owners are hoping that last year's shot in the bunker, this year they'll be able to save par.
The fire took its toll.
Like just about everything else in the Pine-Featherville area, things looked dire 9 months ago for the Elk Valley Ranch Resort.
The fire began to creep towards the golf course.
With flames nearly on top of the golf course, onlookers could only watch.
And it became kind of scary for a lot of folks.
But the fire was stopped and Elk Valley Ranch saved. But just because flames didn't destroy the golf course, that did not mean all was well.
We had the Trinity Ridge fire, which ended our season early. We basically closed our doors.
Elk Valley Ranch lost nearly 3 months' revenue.
August, September, and about half of October really is some of our best months. Pretty much ended our season for that year.
But after a long, hard winter, the golf course is once again looking forward to an optimistic and bright future.
And we're really looking forward to this year to recover from last year. But I think this might be a banner year for us. Like I said, we've got all kinds of activities lined up, tournaments, and we're ready to rock and roll.
I think it means a lot because, you know, we have a long ways to go anywhere to go do anything fun. And there's a lot of people that actually started golfing because we have this here.
The golf course and resort has numerous events planned, including tournaments and shows. They also plan on opening an 18-site RV park at the resort in the next coming months. Mark, D.
Now, Troy, if you could pull out on that shot, I want to show how Pat Christensen is a Bronco fan. He has decked this card out blue and orange. Pat Christensen, of course, of Cindy's Featherville Cafe, wanted to make sure that he showed his colors.
Well, we're going to show you a local artist coming up next. He's been busy wood carving all day for us. We'll show you his handiwork when we come back.
Back live here in Featherville, 2013 live tour continues with Chuck Smart here with Boo Boo. You just named him Boo Boo. I'll get out of the way so you can see.
I think
Boo
he's got
Boo.
a message: help prevent forest fires.
That's right. Let's do our best to keep them fires down and keep our forests green.
Now, I can tell you, when we got up this morning at 8 o'clock, you were out here going to town already. So Boo Boo now is about an 11-hour project, isn't it?
It is about 11 hours, yep. There's a lot of work, low gas, and I made a lot of sawdust.
I see.
Yeah, you did.
Look at this sawdust.
You did. Is this a hard thing to learn, or you just have to have it in you to know how to turn a log into a bear?
I think part of it's you got to have it in you, and a lot of it's practice. As we all know, we get better if we do something day after day.
How long you been doing it?
About 35 years.
Oh, well then no wonder you're so good.
I had a little bit of practice.
So when people come up to this area, they can find you, they can find your artwork. Is this how you make your living?
This is how I make my living. And a lot of people ask me, is this how you make your living? And I always answer them, yes, just not a very good one.
No, I'm sure it's a lot of work. A lot of folks, it's hard work up here, isn't it, to make a go of living in such a beautiful place?
It is, and you definitely have to think outside the box to make a go up here. There's not the normal jobs.
Well, I'll tell you what, we want people to see some of the folks, some of your neighbors, and they've gathered here to say hello and goodbye. And
we want to thank you guys for all the hospitality that you've given us today. I feel like I spent a weekend in Featherville today, and I certainly did enjoy it. And you are holding a diamond carving that Chuck did to signify KTVB's 60th anniversary. Thank you for doing that.
What we want to say is, from all of us at Featherville to all of you at Channel 7, happy
you guys rock. Thank you, Featherville. And you know what? You guys have made your towns proud.
Yes, you have.
What you have been through hell, but you're back. I can tell you.
In a big way.
Big way.
And we're so pleased that we could introduce all of you in this beautiful place on Live Tour 2013.